Hi again guys, so we've got another special project build for you today, and this time it's something a little bit different because this is not a replica tune, this is actually a completely custom tune. And basically what the idea behind this build is an in-game representation of what a Pagani Huayra R could be like. So I've taken some both visual and mechanical inspiration from, of course, the Zonda R, which you can see both in the look of the car and you will see in the way I've set up the car. As with a replica tune, I'll show you what I've done to get the visual look of the car, then we'll go over to the garage for the mechanical setup, and finally we'll go to the track to test how it performs. So first of all, for the visual modifications of this car, we've gone for the Type B body kit. Obviously you can go for whichever one of the three you prefer, but I just feel that the Type B looks the most like what a Huayra R could be like. Unfortunately there is no flat floor for the Huayra, which is kind of a shame. It would have given it more downforce, which would have been good for a track-based R replica or R build. For the rear wing, we've gone for a custom wing. We've gone for the Type F wing support, which is actually silver instead of black, or grey instead of black. We've gone for the Type B top wing, which gives this little bump in the middle of the wing. And then we've gone for the Type E winglets. And for the specs, we've gone for +1 on height and +29 on width. For the rims on this model, we've gone all the way down towards the bottom to these Rays 57X wheels, which don't necessarily look the most accurate to the real Zonda R, but they just look good with the car, I think, so just, you know, fit it with whatever wheels you prefer. For the meters, I've gone for, as you can see, a boost meter and rev counter, and I've gone for black on white dials with that. As far as the paint colour on this car, for the body, now you've got multiple options really. For the body, I've chosen to go for metallic brown, which, as I've said before, comes from the Tesla Model S. Most people probably wouldn't want their Huayra R to be metallic brown. I've just gone for that because it looks a lot like carbon fibre. It goes well with the carbon fibre detailing. It also goes well with the gold in the wheels and the tan coloured interior. And also because it has a similar look to the Zonda R and has quite a nice goldish tinge to it under certain light. However, if you do want this car to be carbon, then when you purchase your Huayra, make sure you select the absolute bottom colour in the selection. I believe it's the absolute bottom. It's a dark colour, and if you select that colour and then look in gallery view, you'll notice that it is actually real bare carbon fibre. It's not painted at all, but you must choose that when you first buy the Huayra, because once you've bought it you can't change it to that colour, because as far as I'm aware that colour, or I mean it's not a colour, so you can't select it afterwards. So if you do want real carbon, make sure you go for that, whereas I've gone for metallic brown, which is really the next best thing. For the rims, I believe they're metallic, and we have gone for obviously gold rims, but the particular gold is gold metallic. To be honest, I can't remember which particular model this comes from, but most golds will look quite good on it. You don't have to go for gold, obviously. I've just done that because that's what the Zonda R has. And I've gone for the same for the brakes, and then for the rear wing, I've matched the rear wing up to the body for obvious reasons in the same metallic brown. So that's it for the visual modifications on this particular model. So now let's go over to the tuning garage to show you what I've done to achieve a Huayra R style mechanical setup. Now obviously this car, as I said, is not a replica, so there is quite a lot of room for variation as to what you want this car's specifications to be. Now I've gone for what I've gone for two particular reasons. One is because it just feels right for my interpretation of a Huayra R, but also because it's fairly competitive at this level and if I was to down tune it, the power just wouldn't be right for a Huayra R in comparison to what the Zonda R's specs are. That's a lot of R's. So you want race and soft tyres, as always. For suspension, we've lowered the ride height all the way. Springs we've increased up to 925 and 1275. Dampers to 5, anti-roll all the way up to 7. Camber quite high on 3.5. Neutral toe, as always. For the gearbox, obviously it's not a top speed tune, so we've gone for an auto setting of 230, then we've rounded off the gears to 3600, 2420, 1770, 1340, 1060, 870 and 750, with a final drive of 3.2. For the diff, low initial torque to reduce wheel spin, which the Huayra is very prone to doing, high acceleration and low braking. For the power, we haven't done any power upgrades. This does, however, have an oil change. Obviously, if you don't give it an oil change, the power limiter will be different for you, or if you want different power. But for this one, I've reduced the power down to 95.6%, as you can see. And then we've got the rear downforce as high as possible. Unfortunately, you can't increase the front. Full weight loss package, and then we've gone for a ballast of 119 kilos and put that all the way to the front. The reason for that is it brings us up perfectly to a nice 50-50 weight distribution. And also because it brings us perfectly to 625 pp, and also has similar kind of specs to what a Huayra R could have. It's running slightly more, well, significantly more weight than the Zonda R, little bit less power, but overall it's a pretty good representation of what a Huayra R could be like, whilst keeping it at a competitive PP. So that's it for the mechanical side of things. Let's finally go to the track and see how it performs. Now, under normal circumstances, the Huayra has, at the best of times, infamous handling on the track. It's known for being twitchy, slippery, and basically just not a wise car to use against racing cars at the very least. However, this tune really bridges the gap between what the Huayra is already good at and what it has the potential to be good at. And that is as a track car, not just a dragster. Now obviously with this tune it's running virtually half the power almost of its fully tuned state, significantly more downforce and also more weight, so its straight line performance is a lot slower than fully tuned. That said, this car can still do around 230 miles per hour in its current form, which for a 625 pp essentially racing car is very good. Now you can get up to speeds of around 220 easily here on Lasarte, even with the twin chicanes. So top speed wise, it's a very strong contender for the 625 pp category. The acceleration as well is unsurprisingly very quick. But it's the handling, the grip and the brakes which really set this apart from most Huayras on the track. The handling is very good. I guarantee you'll be surprised just how well this car can take corners. There is surprisingly minimal wheel spin. The turn-in is very sharp, but very controlled at the same time. And you can actually use a surprising amount of the car's throttle without it snapping at you. Now, obviously, if you floor it out of corners, you're going to get wheel spin, but nowhere near as much as many Huayras or many tunes on many Huayras get. And as far as where I'd recommend using it, because at the end of the day, although this is a competitive tune, I built it primarily just to be a fun project, really, just a car to drive, to experience what a Huayra R could be like. But as it happens, it's an extremely quick machine. Now, I've only tested it on a couple of track types. I've tested it on Sierra, I've tested it obviously here at Lasarte. Incidentally, here at Lasarte, this lap that you're watching, which was also my first full lap of this track with this car, was in 3 minutes and 40 seconds. So it's very fast. That's almost LMP fast, and that is actually quicker than many LMP cars on this game. So it really is a competitive car. Against cars like the Panos, the Le Mans Corvettes and Vipers, this will be a dominant car, even if you do choose to restrict the power more. So overall, I hope you guys enjoy this tune. I hope you find it competitive if you do choose to use it for racing. And that's it for this build. So I'll see you guys next time. And as always, thanks for watching.